Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while, but there have actually been a lot of changes in my life. For one, I got a full-time job. It's the first time I've been working full-time in quite a while. I've been working part-time for several months, and I went ahead and transitioned back to full-time. But as a wise sage once said,
"Cash up front. This I like. The water needs turning on and those toilets need flushing."
However, that definitely doesn't stop me from wanting to create great content for you guys, although the output may be a bit slower. So I do apologize, but let's get into the video. Now, today's topic has been a contentious subject for the past week or two. Very recently, FromSoftware fans, including myself, were really excited at the release of Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Now, the fans of the series have come to expect the fact that it has a great deal of difficulty, but the other day I came across a Forbes article called "Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice Needs to Respect Its Players and Add an Easy Mode." Wait, do you hear it? Now, what's my stance on this? Do I agree with this? At one point, very early on in my very first Bloodborne playthrough, I might have agreed with them. I had a couple friends who came to me after I suggested Bloodborne to tell me that they ended up quitting pretty early on in the game because they felt alienated by the difficulty. At that point, I definitely listened to their concerns. Over time, as I fell in love with Bloodborne and the Souls series, and I'm also very excited to start playing Sekiro, I really have to disagree with that. Now, this article published by Forbes makes the case that games like Sekiro, Bloodborne, and the Dark Souls games aren't adhering to a new era because they're so difficult. Now, there's some validity in saying that the Souls games relate to classic games that are difficult and make you play the same areas over and over in order to get good. I beg to differ with the central theme of that article. The Souls games' impact on the industry can't be denied. There is a reason why every brand new RPG game and every new action game gets compared to Dark Souls on a regular basis. It's because they, believe it or not, are ahead of the game rather than behind. One area where I felt that the writer really blew it is when he said games like Souls and Sekiro are punishingly difficult games that set a new standard for how much abuse a modern player is able to take. In saying that, he missed the entire point of what the Souls games and Sekiro are all about, which is overcoming obstacles, accomplishment, and learning from your mistakes. Now, to further this point, I'm going to tell you my personal story of how I got into these games in the first place. Several years back, I got into Bloodborne for the first time, and I really struggled. I will tell that to every single person out there. It was genuinely very difficult for me. In fact, I was stuck in central Yharnam for a full week in that one area with the bonfire with all the Yharnamite hunters spread around. I almost gave up, but the sense of mystique in Yharnam really pushed me forward. It wasn't until, ironically, I found another Forbes article from 2015, which I will link below, that encouraged me to not give up and keep on going. It said that for struggling players, the first area of Bloodborne is meant to re-teach you how to play these games. The author of that article, Paul Tassi, really drove it home that the first area of Bloodborne was meant to break you. But don't lose heart, because when you come upon an obstacle that seems insurmountable, don't try to beat it at first, just run through it so you can get to the next area. That way you can really learn the game and then come upon that obstacle later once you've learned things like crowd control. Honestly, that changed my entire experience through the game. Not only did I get through Central Yharnam, but I quickly got to and through the Cleric Beast, Gascoigne, and all those early bosses that people really struggled with. Having an article like that encouraged me to push through instead of just giving up was far more effective for me as a player. I'm at the point where I've beat Bloodborne in one sitting. However, I'll never forget the effect that that positive article had on me back in the day. Versus this one, which encourages player to give up instead of persevering and figuring out the game's mechanics. Reading that article back in 2015 enabled me to get through that initial roadblock, and it allowed me to really enjoy what has become one of my favorite games of all time. With this in mind, I can't agree whatsoever that Sekiro would require an easy mode. However, I did find one single compelling argument that I definitely wanted to address in this video, and that is the argument that the difficulty alienates people with disabilities. As a person who has experienced certain physical limitations, I definitely wanted to take that into account. I'm very passionate about equality, but I don't feel that it's necessary to get offended on behalf of other people or try to speak for other people. In that vein, I have a wonderful friend who has a neurological disorder that prevents him from playing games like Dark Souls. He loves the lore. We talk about the lore of these games all the time. We even enjoyed the Dark Souls board game together. So he's somebody who's passionate about the Souls series who can't play some of the games. He noted that he cannot play Bloodborne, but he can play Dark Souls 3 due to the changes in gameplay mechanics. I'm gonna pull up some of the things he said so that I can directly quote his opinion on it. Now, as a disclaimer, he definitely doesn't speak for all people with disabilities, nor does he speak for all people with his certain neurological disability. I wanted to get that out there because this issue is definitely not one size fits all. He says, I'm on the fence with this one. I'm lucky to have studied the human body as an economist, as well as having grown up in an occupational and physical therapy environment, so I've seen how the human body can adapt to all sorts of changes. As to whether or not games should have an easy mode because of it, I would have to say no. He goes on to say, now on a more technical analysis, I don't really think that the issue of making the game easier would really solve anything. I would still have a neurological issue in my hand that would hinder my gaming. I believe this issue is more of an issue on the controller. While my fingers may not be as dexterous, I still have almost all of the motion control in my wrist and arm. He even goes on to remark that video games are often used in a physical therapy environment for healing purposes. He goes on to make this final point. Another thing that could greatly help is the community. I may not be able to play Bloodborne, but there's tons of stuff online and plenty of people who seem religiously driven to record themselves inspecting every nook and cranny of the game to sate any questions or show any view or try any tactic that I may want to try myself, but can't. So thank you so much to my friend Alex for contributing. I know it's such a sensitive subject, and I made sure to say that if he was uncomfortable with contributing to this, that the option to say no is always there. But yes, I echo his sentiment full-heartedly. The central core of these games is to actively challenge you to overcome obstacles and to feel the rush and sense of accomplishment when you do. By preventing players from being able to learn from their failures and become better players, an easy mode is a cop-out that flattens the gameplay. An easy mode version of Sekiro just wouldn't be Sekiro. It's by learning from mistakes and that triumphant feeling of overcoming obstacles that have made the Souls games my favorite in the last 30 years of playing. Now, although I haven't played Sekiro yet, I can't wait to start. I know it's going to kick my butt, and I know I'm going to get frustrated with it. But will that stop me? Absolutely not, because you know what? I have more lessons to learn. Now, I know that's been a very contentious subject with some sensitive issues raised. What do you guys feel about it? I know that I have some veteran Souls players here, as well as some who are in it for the lore, and I'm glad to have all of you. I'm happy to hear your comments in the comment section down below. Feel free to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, guys. So very, very recently, where is my thing? I'm at the point where I can not easily, reading that article in 2015 allowed me to get through that initial what the f? I can't say roadblock. Uh-oh, I need my phone for this part. Stand by. It's that adrenaline of overcoming obstacles and learning from setbacks that make these games Oh no, I started that so well. I may or may not be able to play Bloodborne, but there are lots of stuff online and plenty of people who seem religiously driven to record themselves. I feel attacked.